Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Energize Your Online Business podcast. Hey there, Kate.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Today, we are going to dig into, I think where it really kind of starts is disappointment. Because we put out an offer and we put it out. We think it's amazing, whether it's a live launch or whatever it is. We put it out into the world and we have a lot of people on our list and we don't see the sales numbers that we expect. And I think what a lot of people tend to do is they get disappointed and they effectively give up on the people who didn't purchase. And they think, all right, well, then I have to focus on the next one and get more people into the funnel, get this offer in front of more people. There was something wrong with these people that they didn't purchase. I don't know why, but we give up on them. And they're on our list, but we give up on them. And what we're going to talk about in this episode is, number one, why we don't give up on people on our list. But also, number two, why, well, actually, 2 or 3 maybe, why sometimes people don't initially purchase, and how we can get them to purchase later. As well as, I suppose, number 4, also improve our offer and our messaging so that more people do purchase right away. Yeah.
So should we talk about why people don't buy right away? And there are a few reasons. Obviously, some of these might overlap. People might have multiple reasons for not buying and not just one. Some might be stronger than others. This was my main reason, but here's some secondary reasons. But first and foremost, and I think my instinct is to say price, but really the value was unclear. So because your price, as we've talked about, people will buy anything. I think we talked, Nicki, you always talk about the example, which I think is so smart, because I am in a toxic relationship with Apple, like many, many people. And so the $1,200 phone with a glass screen, I've broke at least 1 or 2 glass screens. Do I continue buying this phone? Yes, I do. So the value is clear to me, though. The integration with my Mac, the ease of use, not having to change to a different phone and figure it out, all of those sorts of things. So the value is clear to me. So it's not the price. So that's first and foremost.
I think that it probably is the biggest reason why people aren't purchasing, is because a business owner has not dialed in their messaging enough to make the value clear, to be speaking in terms that resonate with the target audience, that take your target audience's needs and wants and desires and all of those things and fears into account. Our Circuit Sales System students know that one of the first big things is we dive into market research, because I think so many of us think, oh, I know my audience. And always people come back and say, oh my goodness, this was so valuable. I thought I knew what they were going to say, and they said totally different things. So the messaging is the foundation upon which we build our businesses. So that is number one, the biggest reason that people don't buy, which is fundamentally something that we have not done effectively, right? It's not them not, I don't know what, researching our offers enough. It's we have not communicated it well enough. So that's on us completely.
Yeah. And not to go down a rabbit hole, but I think the other piece of that of our messaging not being dialed in is that oftentimes if you're selling a course, you presumably maybe created it because it was solving a challenge that you once had. And so there's this trap of feeling like, well, I'm my target audience. I know exactly what to say because I was in that position, and now I'm selling this course to my old self. But what you forget is that time has moved on and you've grown, you've learned so much, you've transformed, you've had this experience, you've built a course, and now that you're teaching folks. And so you might be more out of touch than you think with the language that they're using now about that topic. And so your offer and program is still super, super valid. You're an expert, you know exactly what you're talking about, and you know how to help these people. You just need to reconfigure how you're talking to them because they're using different language potentially.
I think another big reason is there's no urgency in your offer. right? We see this a lot when people quote unquote go evergreen with their programs. They put it up on their website and they're like, well, this is great because then when people discover me, they can purchase right away. But that's not how human beings work. We need deadlines in order to take action. Think of how often you've thought, oh, I want to buy this sweater, I want to buy this thing, and oh, there's a coupon out. Okay. And you don't make that purchase until you get the day that's a last day for this coupon. You go, oh, okay, I got to get on my card and make that purchase. We don't take action until we are given a deadline. There's a reason why every coupon has a deadline, why every class, every assignment in every school that has ever existed, well, maybe not every school that's ever existed, but has a due date, why projects have due dates, because they don't get done if they don't have them. I think we all know that from doing things for ourselves, for our own businesses that we know are important, and we just sit on them indefinitely, even though we know how important they are. So we have to give people deadlines. Allowing people to buy whenever doesn't work. Also, fake deadlines don't work. If you say, oh, this is it, and then after tomorrow, it's going to disappear. And then either number one, you never take down that sales page, or you don't have a system, you don't have software that automates that for you, which is not difficult to do. That always makes me raise an eyebrow. When you go, oh, okay, the program's closed. You go over, program is still open. It does not look great for your integrity. What you're teaching your audience is they don't have to listen to you. When you say it's the last day, it's not the last day. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
Well, and then you lose trust. And then I think if someone doesn't trust you, that's forget the urgency factor. It's okay, I don't trust this. Now I'm really not going to buy from them.
Yes, exactly.
Kind of a twofold.
Exactly. Or this is another one that I feel like we see a lot, and you always go, oh, I see your launch didn't go as well as you expected it to. When they say, oh, its launch is closing or its cart is closing on Friday. And then you get an email on Saturday saying, oh, I've just gotten an email from so many people that didn't get the chance to purchase that. Guess what? We're opening up for 2 more days. Yeah. Okay. So what I've learned is that I don't have to listen to you about when it's closed. You need to demonstrate integrity in everything that you do. And that has to carry through with your urgency too. You have to give people urgency so that they purchase, but you also have to, now you can have a grace period. If it ends and 3 hours later, someone says, oh my God, I missed it. Okay, give them a grace period. Certainly that's reasonable, but you can't just have a deadline, but not actually enforce your deadline. It's not a good look.
Yeah. Similarly with price too. I think people see through that of, this is the lowest price you'll ever see. And then they see it discounted a week later. Or, I don't do discounts or I don't do coupons. And then suddenly they see, course is now 20% off or whatever it is. People can see right through that. And I think that's the same aspect too of holding true to what you're saying. And especially so that people don't think that a better price is coming. If you tell them that there's no better price, then there better be no better price.
Exactly. And literally no, like, well, for this group, we give them a better price. No, if you're saying it is the best price, it has to be the best price for every human being on the planet. You have to stick by your integrity. Absolutely. Another reason why people might not buy is that you are targeting the wrong buyers, right? Or the wrong people. Whether it's through ads or whether it's just through your organic messaging, you're saying the wrong things. And so either the wrong people are attracted to you and get into your circle, or you're saying something so appealing on your ads and your targeting is not dialed in that you're getting a whole bunch of people who aren't actually purchasers, but they're interested enough in what you had to say that they want to get on your email list and get the answer to whatever point that you are discussing. It can be very, very easy to waste a lot of time and energy on social media if you're messaging to the wrong people. And it can be very easy to lose a lot of money on ads if your targeting is not dialed in, if you're trying to sell to the wrong people.
Well, yeah, and then having a bunch of them on your list and paying for them to be on your list, and you don't know which ones are the right ones and which ones are the wrong ones.
Yeah, exactly.
And so one of the another reason is back to messaging. They're not clear. Your customers aren't clear on why they should purchase from you versus your competitor. So They don't know what the value you're bringing is over them. They don't know what differentiates you from your competitor. If you're offering, healthcare coaching, why you and versus someone else? What is going to make them want to work with you as opposed to someone else? What are they going to get that they can't get anywhere else?
Exactly. And then I really think there's one more element that I think in the marketing industry, we tend to go, no, that's not, we can overcome that. Sometimes it just is genuinely not the right time for someone to purchase. They may have found you and they may really want your program, but they truly don't have the time to do it, or they truly don't have the money to do it, or any number of things. And I don't mean the like, well, I could buy an iPhone for $1,200 and just upgrade when I don't really, and I have the, what are we on now? 15? The 20,
I think so.
the
Yes.
iPhone 23. Well, I have the 22, but I want to upgrade to the 23. I mean, when truly it's like, oh, I have to pay the kids' childcare this month, and I can't do both. Sometimes that is genuinely the truth. And as we're overcoming objections, we certainly want to overcome the objections to, I don't know, maybe I should put my money somewhere else. But if it truly is not the right time for them, that doesn't mean that we give up on them forever. All of this stuff doesn't mean that we give up on them forever. And once someone has registered interest in us, whether they followed us on social media, whether they signed up for our email list, whether they've reached out in some way, shape, or form. And again, if it's the wrong audience, then maybe this is not quite the case, but there is the possibility for them to purchase from us at some point in the future. Maybe it will be now. And we definitely, a lot of the things that we were talking about, getting your messaging dialed in, making sure your value is clear, adding in urgency. A lot of that is, when you fix that, is going to help people to make the purchase right away. But there are also things that you can do to, if you don't have that dialed in when you first get people on your list, there are things that you can do to help make them, to help encourage them to purchase later, because we don't want to give up on these people.
Yeah, I mean, you presumably paid likely to acquire them in some shape or fashion, whether you're running ads or you're paying in your time for organic leads. There's a dollar component to every single one of them. And at this point too, is presumably they're still interested in what you have to offer. They're a warm lead. They're not cold. They're interested. They're engaged. Maybe they're still opening your emails. It would be a shame to just let them go.
Exactly. I mean, we don't toss people aside because we didn't get what we wanted from them immediately, right? They're on your email list, or they're following you. They're a part of your community, and they should feel like a valuable part of your community. And to that end, we're never going to give up on trying. Everything that we do, everything that we sell, is because we want to help people improve their lives in some way. It could be a little way. It could be a massively huge way. But at no point are we going to get someone into our community, or even if they're not in our community, and say, nope, I'm going to give up on them. They don't, unless they turn out to be, a major pain in the rear, in which case unsubscribe them. And then those people, okay, you can give up on. But if someone is genuinely interested in changing their lives, and you have the solution to them, it should never be, oh, well, they didn't purchase during this launch, or, oh, they didn't purchase during this cart open period, so I'm just going to leave them on my list. No. When you have what they need, just because they didn't purchase initially doesn't mean that they're not going to purchase eventually, as long as you take some steps to support them in that desire to purchase.
Yeah. I feel like this is the moment where after they don't make a purchase, is the moment that makes or breaks whether they will eventually, of deciding to go with you or a competitor. Because presumably they still have the same problem that they had coming in. They haven't solved it. So they still need a solution to whatever problem it is that they have. So will they go with you, or will they go with the competitor? Do you abandon them, or do you continue to nurture them and say, hey, I'm here for you. I'm here when you're ready to make a purchase. And give them that support that they need to finally make that decision and make that purchase. They might just need a little bit more to get there.
Exactly. All of those things that we're talking about, fixing your messaging in your sales period, adding in that urgency episode, that's stuff that you're going to need for the next time that they have the opportunity to purchase. And there should be a next time. There should be multiple next times. And if you're a CSS student, you know that we build that out automatically. So you don't have to relaunch and drive yourself bananas. But fundamentally, after they make the choice not to purchase, from there is where you begin the process of educating them and supporting them to make the purchase the next time they have the opportunity. And this is also a really great time to get some information from them. Our CSS students know you should be doing market research calls, not just with people who've purchased in the past, but also with people who haven't purchased and people who haven't yet had the opportunity to purchase. But you can also then you can send out surveys and see if you can get people to answer why they didn't purchase. What were their concerns? What questions didn't you address? Because that's an opportunity to address them. Certainly go back and put it into your initial sales sequence, but address these questions, send this messaging out in the time until their next sales sequence opens up, so that you have been nurturing and supporting them and preparing them to make this purchase that entire period of time.
Yeah. And I think we talk a lot, and we're going to talk about it again because it's relevant to this conversation, about how people don't see every single message that you're putting out there. And even if they do, they might need to hear that message multiple times before it sinks in, before they retain it. It's easy to forget information. You see something once, it might be out of sight, out of mind. And so these folks might just need to see some of your core messaging points again. They might need to see testimonials again that they've forgotten about. They might need to see, understand what your course platform looks like to make the purchase, to understand what they're getting. And so you're continuing to provide that value that you provided in that first, getting them to, as you sell and nurture to your audience. And if they didn't purchase, doing that same thing so that these folks are getting that messaging again. Maybe in a different way, maybe in a different format, but they might just need to see it in multiple different ways to retain it and have it both start to believe, okay, this is the right program for me.
Exactly. I think a big mistake that a lot of business owners make is that they forget that they need to be talking to people in between the sales periods. I think you'll see this a lot is that a company will have a big launch, and then after that, if you're on their list, it's crickets until 6 months later when they have their big launch again. But during that whole time, when you could have been learning from them and seeing customer stories and going, I think next when this opens up again, I think I want to do this. They lost that opportunity completely because they weren't educating you. It's content in the middle. They're educating, inspiration, and occasionally even sometimes too entertainment. Here's this funny thing that I saw. More definitely inspiration and education than entertainment. But it's such an opportunity to build that relationship in the times in between sales periods. And I think that it's often a missed opportunity.
Yeah, and I think that consistency, it's you're continuing to show up for them. You're continuing to say, I'm here, I'm not abandoning you, you're supported, here I am. And I think the other opportunity to do that is with your customer service. So if people are writing in that you are taking their concerns seriously, that you are adjusting your canned responses as needed to really answer people's questions. And I think the other piece of this too is making sure that when someone writes in with a question, that you're thinking through, is this the question that they really want the answer to, or is there something behind this question? I'm trying to think of a good example, but I think a lot of our copywriting students, it'll be, is this possible for me? And I think sometimes, yes, they want to know if they genuinely want the answer, someone to say, yes, you can do this. But I think behind that, there's, okay, why are they asking this question? They're afraid that if they spend this money, they won't follow through on it. Maybe they don't have the time to dedicate to this right now. Maybe English isn't their first language and they're worried about writing in English, or if they should write in their native. There might be, all that's to say, is questions behind the question that they're asking. And so really taking a beat to pause and read the question, but try to understand where this person, this individual is coming from,
Mm-hmm.
and to treat each response that comes in like that, to say, okay, what is the real motivation behind what's going on with them? And same thing if you're talking to them, customers who didn't make a purchase,
Yeah.
if you're hopping on a quick call with them, or in a survey and you're reading their answers, to ask follow-up questions if needed, to dig a little bit deeper, because sometimes what your initial, the surface response might not actually be the full context of why someone isn't purchasing.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think the important thing to remember too is that if one person takes the time to write into customer service or to reach out to you on Instagram or whatever, then there are dozens of people who have that same question or that same concern, but just never bothered to reach out to you. So every question that comes in, answer it well, and then share that messaging with the rest of the community. We don't know. We can do our very best to create our most effective sales messaging, our most effective sales sequence, all of that kind of stuff. We can do our very best, put our best foot forward, test all of that kind of stuff. But we fundamentally can't know exactly why someone didn't purchase. We can try to get that information as much as possible, and we can try to overcome what we perceive will be the objections, but we can't know why, which is why we do the market research and why we do surveys and that kind of thing. But we also try to overcome that as much as possible. We also can't know when is going to be the time when they finally go, yes, this is the time. I'm ready now. I'm ready. So we need to treat every interaction with them as if they're just about to make that decision. Mm-hmm. That we give them the support, we give them the inspiration, we give them the education, that it could be this moment when they decide, oh, today's the day. I'm gonna write into customer service or with this question. I'm ready to get started, or something along those lines. Or maybe this sales sequence, maybe that's a better way to put it. This sales sequence is going to be the time that they're ready to purchase. They weren't ready in the first one. They weren't ready in the second one, but this third one, they've seen enough from you. They're ready in their lives, and they're ready to purchase. And you know what? That customer is still just as valuable to us as someone who purchased immediately. They're still just as valuable of yes, monetarily, certainly, obviously, but they're still just as valuable of a member in your community. They're still just as worthy of support and congratulations and all of that kind of thing as someone who purchased initially. And I think that's part of what we're trying to get across here, is that it is so common to give up on people who don't purchase right away, to let people sit on our list and just languish on our list and not do anything to support them when we have this pool of people who is interested enough to stay on your list. Mm-hmm. It wasn't for whatever reason, and we listed a whole bunch of them, a lot of stuff to work on, a lot of action points, but for whatever reason, they weren't ready to purchase that last opportunity they had. But they are still people of value, and not just monetarily, people who can bring such wonderful things to your community and people that you can help and impact as well. So don't give up on them. Don't give up on them. Give them the support that they need. Give them the messaging that they need. Give them and yes, when we say give them support, that does include urgency. Kate and I will both tell you, we spent a lot of years as freelancers in our prior careers, and thank goodness for deadlines, because I would have made no money as a freelancer if I didn't have a deadline. And it's true with everything. I mean, I would have flunked out of college if I didn't have a deadline to turn in those essays or that kind. So it is serving people to give them deadlines, but all of these things help support people. Just because they're not in your purchaser community doesn't mean they're not in a community when they're on your email list or in your social media. And you have to treat all of these people with the value that they deserve, knowing that if you do your job well, there's a pretty good chance that at some point they will join you in the paid customer community.
Yeah. And I think the important thing to note too is that if it feels overwhelming of like, well, I'm going to do all this work to support, 20, 30, whatever the percentage is of your buyers that don't purchase in that initial opportunity, that you can reuse a lot of what you've done to support them in the first chance. it doesn't have to be reinventing the wheel. And I wanted to mention that because I think that might be one of the reasons potentially why people give up on this group of potential buyers, but it shouldn't be a reason. You don't have to rewrite messaging. You don't have to do something completely different. You can just package it in a different way. You can frankly reuse some of the same emails from, the first round because they're still just as valid. And again, people haven't seen all of them. They haven't memorized them. And it's been a significant amount of time maybe since they've first seen some of that messaging. So don't feel like you have to go back and do something brand new.
Exactly. Yeah. So I completely understand if you have a launch or you're on a circuit and you go through the first sales sequence and 10% buy, that's great. You should not be thinking that 90% is, don't think of them as not purchasers. Think of them as people who will purchase eventually. Didn't purchase during that sales sequence, but there's every opportunity for them to purchase in the future and treat them accordingly. Okay, so I feel like we say this with every episode, but we have some action items for you, some stuff to do. But the good thing is that all of this stuff all of these tasks, projects will increase your conversion rates, and that's a big part of where we're in business. So go back, make some notes, and we will catch you in the next episode. Bye, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Do you want to learn how to sell and scale your offer on autopilot every single day without the chaos of live launching or the low conversions of Evergreen? Who doesn't, right? Get our free on-demand video training at circuitsalessystem.com/free. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to this channel to make sure you never miss a video. We'll catch you next time.